Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Circle Network. We are a brand new channel on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Full Circle Cine. We got a lot of great content coming at you on there. Today, we're going to be doing our first review on the page. It is for Captain Mar-Vell. We'll be giving our non-spoiler and spoiler thoughts. My name is Caleb Saad. I am a news and media editor for the page, and I'm going to pass it over to our editor-in-chief, Jackson Hayes. So, Jackson, why don't you just give us your quick thoughts on it? And what your expectations were going in, and maybe give a little of the buzz around it, and what you thought about it overall.
Yeah, thank you, Caleb, for that great introduction. Welcome everyone to the channel. Thank you for listening to this review. To put it frankly, with Captain Mar-Vell, there's a lot of baggage surrounding this movie, whether warranted or not warranted. Mostly not. The trolls that went in bombarded the Rotten Tomatoes score before the movie, and then went in following the screenings and the reviews this past week, bombarding the reviews again. This movie was getting a lot of flack from a specific group of people on the internet. Last Jedi kind of vibes here that was completely unwarranted, and I feel like it didn't affect me personally, but I feel like it affected the vibe of the movie overall going in. I wasn't a huge fan of the marketing for this movie. Some of the trailers didn't really hit me well, and I think most people, if not a good chunk of people, had that same complaint where the marketing wasn't doing a great enough job doing it. So going in to see it, I was a little hesitant, just because every time a new Marvel movie comes out, people are expecting this one to be the one that doesn't hit, that doesn't hit critically, doesn't hit financially. So I was a little trepidatious. I was worried. But going in, I wanted, just to see the movie and put my own thoughts, and honestly, kind of blew my expectations away. It's not a perfect movie by any, stretch of the imagination, but I think this is a great addition to the MCU, and I'm really excited to talk about it. So I'll throw it to Colin.
Hey guys, I'm Colin. I'm a writer for the site, and I just want to say I pretty much on whole agree with Jackson about everything. I mean, I don't have to dive deeper into any of the buzz surrounding the movie. I think we all know at this point. But Brie Larson doesn't like white men apparently, but whatever. So I'm gonna agree with the same thing. The marketing didn't really blow me away. I think I was at the end of Infinity War with that post-credit scene. I mean, that was more than enough marketing to get me pumped up for Captain Marvel anyways. But the trailers weren't very good, and honestly, leading up to this movie, I was kind of just like, I don't care. I just wanted to watch the post-credit scene because I knew it was going to be Avengers related. And that's all I cared about. And I was like, I'm pumped for Captain Marvel, but I don't care because I want Endgame so bad. But, maybe that kind of helped going into the movie, because when I got out of it, it was one of the best Marvel movies I've seen. I mean, it's not like top 5 or anything, but it was really good.
Yeah, I'm similar with you guys. I went in probably expecting Ant-Man level, maybe Doctor Strange, and those are both good movies, but they're not top tier Marvel, and I'd say it exceeded my expectations just a little bit. I'll get into it when we talk spoilers, but yeah, pretty much everything you guys said I couldn't agree more with. So let's just jump right into spoilers. Colin, what was your favorite part of the movie? Spoiler, go.
The mid-credit scene.
Yeah, we can just go ahead and get out of the way. That mid-credit scene was pretty great.
I mean, it could have not be, but no. Definitely my favorite part was probably when Talos showed up at the house, and he's just drinking a milkshake or something, man. And he's just, I don't know. Ben Mendelsohn killed it in this, and he was so charismatic, and it was just like, it was such a weird moment to have in a Marvel movie. It felt like it was just like the big bad guy of the movie, like just popping up halfway through, and he's like, no, like, I'm not bad, like, you guys are all wrong, just come talk to me. And he just killed it. It was so funny, and it was a perfect scene, I thought. What was your guys' favorite parts?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a great point to start out, talking spoilers in general, Colin, is that, that's kind of where the movie kicked it up a notch for me, is when they kind of took our expectations and put them in a completely new direction with the switcheroo with the Skrulls, where we realize they're not actually the villains of the movie. They're refugees, more or less, being assaulted by the Kree, which was, I'm not going to say it wasn't something that was like in the back of my mind, maybe, that they were going to do something like that, but it was really well executed for me. So that was a big highlight of the film for me, and the comedy in that scene was really great with Ben Mendelsohn, who was definitely the standout performance of the movie just because of how good he was. But I think like that part specifically is where the movie really like got me like going for it.
Yeah, a lot of people are just saying how great of a villain he is, but honestly, like I think that's kind of not really the correct term you should use for him because at the end of the movie he's not
the
villain
villain,
whatsoever.
yeah.
I mean,
But obviously,
he was never really the villain. We
yeah,
by all in terms.
yeah, but obviously, like on your news articles, you can't say Ben Mendelsohn is a great guy.
Right.
Yeah, you got to leave it, leave it.
Yeah. For spoiler reasons, you gotta leave it up.
But yeah, I couldn't agree more. The scrolls were just in general were my favorite part. I thought they did them really well. Even before the big reveal and the big twist, I just thought the whole aesthetic of the scrolls and just seeing them shapeshift it's kind of like haunting to watch them shapeshift into other people, and it's really like that whole like kind of Black Ops type scene when Captain Mar-Vell and her team was going in to like infiltrate the scrolls like base. Like that was like a really cool scene, seeing the scrolls like use their powers to their advantage and just a lot of stuff like that. And then when that reveal did happen, that's like when they, like Jackson said, they kicked it up a notch. And I haven't read too much about like Captain Marvel or the scrolls in the comics, so I for one wasn't really too upset how they kind of flipped it on its head, where the Kree are the more of the bad guys in this universe and the scrolls are the good guys. So did you guys have any problems with that reversal in the movie?
My only problem with it is that I didn't see it coming. Because, like, all our exposure to the Kree up to this point were like, oh, dude, they're bad people. And I don't, and like, the whole, I can't think of what they called their team.
Oh, Star Force.
Star Force.
Green Lanterns.
Yeah, everyone was a villain. Like, I don't know how.
They were all kind of douchebags.
And I was like, I was just like, I don't know how. Like,
there's literally a villain from Guardians of the Galaxy on their team.
I was like, how did I not see that coming at all, that the Skrulls were going to be good? I mean, that's kind of bad, but I thought it was going to be more like both people are bad, but they completely just went the other way. And I know a lot of people that kind of pissed off, but I was like, I don't care. I thought it really helped the story and it worked.
I think there's a few different bits in this movie that are, pissing people off for different reasons. To continue on this one did not affect me negatively in any way. I really, up to that point, I was kind of worried about the Skrulls in the movie. They were a little generic to me, as villains, because at that point I still thought they were the villains.
Yeah, they weren't doing anything.
Right, they weren't doing anything. I was like, oh, what are they setting up here? And once they did that switch, I was like, wow, it really, really works. My issue, though, is when we flip to the other side, and now that we realize that the Kree are the villains, they were pretty weak in this movie. Jan-Rog, especially to me, Jude Law's character was more or less useless, and that's
like I think he had like maybe 5 minutes of screen time.
Right, and the entire Star Force by the end of it were just kind of people there, like fodder at the end.
There. Yeah. No, the villains in this one, it's a classic Marvel trope here. The villains, they weren't impressive.
They weren't, and like the best character to come out of it turned out not to be the villain, which was it's ironic because that's it.
That was built up to be your villain, and
right. And another point I want to bring up is probably the worst character in this movie, and it's probably not his fault, but what a waste was Ronan. What an utter waste of a character. They made him. I brought this up in the spoiler chat. How did they manage to make him worse?
See, I don't think like you could say he's the worst character because it was like he wasn't even in the movie. He just stood there for 2 seconds and was like, yeah, fired that stuff. And then,
he looked weird. Like when I first saw him,
we have 3 giant ships, but we can't handle this one woman. We should leave.
When I first saw him on the ship, did he look really weird to you guys because it didn't have the black?
His face looked weird without the war makeup on.
They looked like weird, like monk looking people. It was kind of weird.
His blue didn't look as good as the other people's blue. The makeup on the face to me. And maybe that's because Lee Pace didn't want to sit in the makeup chair longer. I don't know. He was only in it for 2 minutes, but.
When they said, like, when they revealed that he was going to be in the movie, I was actually, like, really excited because obviously he was not the best part of Guardians of the Galaxy. He was probably one of the weakest things in that movie. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll actually get some backstory onto why he hates Xantar and why he's such a radical Kree. Like, I was hoping to maybe, like, you kind of get a hint of, like, he has, like, really radical, like, the accusers have really radical methods. And that even, like, Jan-Rog wasn't on board with it at first. But, like, you don't really see, there's nothing that added to his character. And it might as well have been a different guy sitting on that ship.
And they sort of set him up as a villain maybe in a sequel if they go that direction with the line at the end, but like I'm not really interested in seeing that if that's what we're going to get from him.
No,
like he was
third
not
time's not going to be a charm.
Like, no, it didn't work. They had an opportunity here to give him a little something, a little. They had kind of have a weird scene with him and Korath where Korath kind of like wants to narc to him, and then Jan-Rog's like no. but it's like it didn't really work. The Kree didn't work at all for me, other than the Supreme Intelligence, would worked kind of well for me.
Yeah, speaking of the Supreme Intelligence, I mean, let's dive into like how Captain Marvel actually got her powers. I mean, because she resembles Mar-Vell. That's who she resembles. But
Right, that's who Annette Bening ends up playing is Mar-Vell.
so, did you guys see that coming? Did you see Annette Bening actually being Mar-Vell?
I didn't see it at first, but once they revealed it, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And that's another thing I actually really liked about the movie was another, they took an expectation and moved it wrong. Where, all the marketing, everyone's like, oh, Jude Law's Mar-Vell. Is Jude Law Yon-Rogg? Is he Mar-Vell? Is he Yon-Rogg? What it turns out, he wasn't either. He was Yon-Rogg, but like Mar-Vell was a completely different character in a completely different faction. And like we didn't see her like truly in because she had died earlier on. But the power thing didn't it worked for me, but it's a little plot holey for a little bit, but I think as a whole it worked.
Mm-hmm. Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I'm not a big Captain Marvel comic reader, so her being Mar-Vell, like, I feel like that was kind of a moment that's like for the comic reader, just like, oh my god, it's Mar-Vell, and for me it was like, oh yeah, I've heard of that name, like I've heard people speculate about that character, so I thought it was cool reveal, and her being a Kree, I thought fit really well in the story, but like one of my problems with like the structure is that we didn't really get a sense of Carol Danvers' past. Like we see like the flashbacks we do see are like really quickly cut, and like it's almost like little moments and not really like full scenes. So like I didn't really get. I kind of wish we had more of a connection to Mar-Vell.
Yeah,
like, obviously she's dead by the time we see the movie, but if we had like, because she's supposed to be who Brie Larson or Carol Danvers looks up to the most. That's why she sees her in this as the Supreme Intelligence. But I didn't get any connection that like that's why. Like I wish we saw why she actually looked up to her that much. That she was the one person and not her best friend Rambo. If
you're exactly right. Like it felt like they were building up like this relationship between the two of them like so much, and then it was just like it just didn't expand on it. Like it didn't provide enough depth into like their actual relationship, so it just felt kind of wasted and useless.
That just gave me like a quick thought. Or sorry, Jackson. Like,
no,
what if the first time she goes to see the Supreme Intelligence, it is her friend Rambo? Like, don't you think that? Because also, like, I don't think that relationship was very fleshed out. Like, don't you guys think that could have like made it a little more impactful for like those later scenes they had? If she sees this person who's supposed to be her best friend, and then we get those like emotional scenes with them later. I don't know. I think that could have worked a little better.
I think it's hard because you had like a one or the other kind of choice if you were going to do that. You wouldn't have the scenes you would have with Mar-Vell. Like Annette Bening's kind of a big actress. She's been around the block. So, having her there and having that mystery a little caught up, I guess it helped me a little bit with the Mar-Vell reveal. I was fine with the Rambo part of the relationship. At least that one scene was really emotional at the kitchen table where Carol had just come back and they were talking about their friendship, and Carol didn't know exactly what she was talking about, but I thought that worked really well. It wasn't super fleshed out, but there was a lot of things that weren't super fleshed out in this, because I mean it was a 2-hour and 5-minute movie, so, and there was a lot going on, which was kind of a problem. There was a lot of things going on, but I think it was the right choice to have Annette Bening be the Supreme Intelligence, but that was only because they needed to set up that character for the reveal later on, and I don't know if it would have worked flip-flopped.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's just me. Well, if you guys want to dive in, we can dive into the use of the Tesseract in this movie, which ended up being integral to her powers once they blew up that Lightspeed engine. Were you guys surprised when the Tesseract showed up?
I was actually really surprised when the Tesseract showed up. I was just like, wow, like we're diving back into this, and it made me like remember like, because like this whole time like it's set in the 90s, but you don't think about it, and then you see that I saw the Tesseract and I was like, oh, this is all like before Avengers. Like, wow, like this, what's going on here? This is all crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it first showed it, and like Goose was like actually like licking it. Did you guys realize that it was the Tesseract? Because I didn't realize it was until she said, "Oh yeah, this Mar-Vell referred to this as the Tesseract."
I didn't because I don't think they showed the full shape until she said that.
Yeah.
And then she
there's so many like blue orb cube things in these movies that
glowing orb things we've had. Like there's got to be at least a dozen like just around these different movies, just orby things. So I wasn't surprised, but it took me out of the movie for a second because I was like, wait, where's the Tesseract supposed to be? What happened to it? Like I was like, okay, it was in First Avenger, and then it was in Avengers. Like who had it? What happened? So like for a good minute or two, I was trying to like figure out where it was supposed to be. So that kind of took me out of it a little bit.
I mean, I saw a great thing on Reddit, of course, if you can believe this. There's some speculation on Reddit about how she kind of got her powers from the Tesseract, like from the engine, which I'm sure Mar-Vell used the Tesseract to power that engine. I don't know the specifics. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think she did. Yeah.
That she might be like a Scarlet Witch and be able to destroy the stones. So she might be able to destroy them at the end of the end game or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a really good point. Jacob Campbell brought up a point in our group chat where he was like, well, if, I kind of shot him down, but he was like, if Captain Marvel gets her power from the Tesseract, does that mean she's as powerful as the Scarlet Witch? And I was like, I mean, that like maybe that's a fair point, but then I thought about it and I was like, well, Quicksilver also got his from the same thing.
Yeah,
so
I think it's
you can't say she's as powerful as Quicksilver.
It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Right, I guess it's random, and he just got the shit into the stick. Like ended
You
up
could
with
get
this
like
upgrade.
super.
I would super
being
speed
able
is
to jog
possible,
quickly.
though.
Would you say?
I think super speed's pretty cool.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
but like
he wasn't that
Scarlet
fast,
Witch
though,
is
but he
like
was
literally
kinda
like
fast.
Scarlet Witch is like literally like the most powerful character in the MCU. Like aside for maybe Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange and Thor, like they're all on the same level, I think. And Quicksilver's like can go toe to toe with Captain America.
I mean, he just kind of took him by surprise. I didn't say toe to toe. I think it's he kind of cheap shot at everybody in that movie.
Well, I mean, he's just using his powers, like.
I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
but
but
like Scarlet Witch
1v1.
could literally destroy the Mind Stone. Like, do you think Quicksilver could destroy the Mind Stone?
Maybe if he ran around it fast
He
enough.
he just
did like if he does like the Flash thing where he runs around in a circle and then threw a lightning bolt at it. Maybe he could do.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a person in the chair who's telling him all the good things
he
he needs to hear in his ear.
Well,
he has no one telling him to run
They all
faster.
talk to each other through the
Yeah,
earpiece.
no one tells him to run faster. No one's
Yeah.
telling him like we are the Quicksilver, that kind of thing. I don't think
He
it would work.
never doubts his speed. That's the problem.
Exactly.
You have to doubt it for it to work.
He can't run fast. The reason he doesn't run faster is because he never doubts himself. So no one tells him he can run. No one told him he can run faster than he already can.
Yeah, no one mentioned that he's kind of slow, so he should like pick it up. But all right, so I mean, to go even deeper, I mean, we haven't really hit on like the acting performances other than Mendelsohn. Like, I just want to talk about Larson really blew my expectations out of the water because again in the marketing material she was. I wasn't on the camp that she was like bland, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, yeah, I love this character through the marketing. But like in the movie, like I think it worked really, really well. Like she was snarky, she wasn't going to listen to anyone that she didn't want to listen to. And I thought it worked really well by the end of the movie.
Yeah, her performance, she killed it. I mean, like you said, like the marketing was nothing compared to the movie. She just absolutely she's now one of my favorite heroes just because of this movie. It was like, wow, Captain Marvel is like cool. She's really awesome. I feel like Ileana here now. I'm a Captain Marvel stan.
Yeah, I wouldn't say she blew me out of the water. Like maybe like you guys are. Like I wouldn't put her on the same level as like Captain America or Chris Evans Captain America and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. But I mean, she did much better than people were saying she was gonna do. I'm glad they didn't put that one line that was in the trailer that was like, "I'm not gonna fight your war. I'm gonna end it."
Oh yeah, I'm glad that wasn't in there.
Yeah, it
Like
was a little
they talked
cheesy.
about it, but like she didn't say that line directly, and I was really happy when she didn't have that one. But I do think some of the dialogue, like she came across a little wooden. I think because of what she was saying, and like a lot of it was kind of like exposition type stuff. But where she really shined was like her chemistry with Samuel Jackson and her snarkiness. Like you said, Jackson is just like she's just off the wall with that. And what I really liked about this movie was like the quips were actually like, not that they're not usually like funny, but like they were like really funny in this, and I never really thought there was too many. Like almost every Marvel movie, like even Infinity War, I felt like there could have been a couple jokes that could have been cut out for some more emotional beats, and I might have had some of that in this, but not nearly as much as I think I usually do.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like this movie, like I'm completely with you because I think the humor worked really, really well in this movie, and because it wasn't supposed to be like this deep, very emotional movie. Like there was an arc, and she like Carol ended up finding her like true self by the end of the movie, which was really powerful in that moment at the end. But it wasn't like taking away from anything because the movie didn't have like this fear of stakes of like oh no, like this person's gonna die, like why are you making jokes, that kind of thing. Like it was just kind of lighthearted for the most part, and it was really fun. Like it was a really fun time, and like I thought it was really funny at moments.
And it was good how like, the whole point of the movie was to get the scrolls to like kind of a refugee area, and it wasn't like, get this, have the Kree or the scrolls blow up Earth or, destroy all the other planets around them. So it worked a lot better how it wasn't another one of these, world destroying, villain plans. It was just more of just like we got to get this thing to get the scrolls out of here. So it worked that there wasn't as big of stakes on the table, but usually when they do have those big stakes, it comes across as just kind of like not really authentic. Like, think about Thor: The Dark World, where it's like,
Yeah,
the
like
whole
very generic.
entire universe is going to go into darkness, and it's like, yeah, whatever. Like this,
Yeah,
like this
what
was,
does that mean?
this was a much smaller scale, but it felt a lot richer and more pure at the core of it.
Yeah, and the best gag of it was everyone being afraid of Goose except for Nick Fury. That was the best gag. I
Yeah,
thought.
that was great.
It was great, and I think we can get into that, which is a lot of people talking as well. I mean, before we do that, like we can talk about what we thought of Sam Jackson. I mean, this was a very different Nick Fury than we're used to. This is a complete 180 from the one we've seen. I watched Winter Soldier yesterday. It happened to be on FX, and
Ooh,
like,
who else was watching it yesterday?
who was that?
Me.
Yeah, damn right. It's still the best MCU movie. But like, watching that, like watching that, and you're like, God, they're like two different people. And like, I understand why. What he goes through probably in the next 15 years is mind blowing, probably. But it was a different character. So what did you guys think of him overall?
He was awesome. Yeah, you got to call him.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him. I thought like this was such a different take on Nick Fury, and he was he was kind of, not kind, but lighthearted, and he was just funny. And I thought, I mean, he's definitely not the battle-hardened Nick Fury that we get starting in Iron Man, but it was a nice, completely different take on the character, and the chemistry between him and Brie Larson were just fantastic. I thought he killed it.
Yeah, he was probably aside from maybe Talos, Ben Mendelsohn, like he might have been my favorite part of the movie, like even more than Captain Marvel herself, just because I loved his like entire like personality and how you can see where he started, because in this he's just really just a spy. Now he's obviously not controlling all of S.H.I.E.L.D., and like I said before, his chemistry with Brie Larson, and it's just like the best part of the movie, like that scene in the bar and just their scenes in the car, that's just amazing. And like one thing that really stood out is like when he called in for backup, because like he didn't really know if he could trust her, and it's like that's something that present day Nick Fury would never do. Like he's very stern on like not relying on anyone else, and in this movie he's like, first sign of danger, I'm going to call in for backup. So it just really shows how far he's come.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was a little jarring at first, but like once we got into the crux of the movie, I was like, I was feeling the character, and the way he was bouncing off of like Brie Larson, even the way he bounced off of Talos towards the end, was really really great. It was a great dynamic between all of them. I mean, we can get into the specific moment that has a lot of people talking, which is the Goose moment. Everyone was anticipating going into this movie how Nick Fury would lose his eye, because we all assumed it would happen, and it did. But I think it happened in a way that most people didn't expect. Some people took it negatively, and some people took it as a positive. So what did you guys think of that?
I don't get why people cared so much. It was. I mean,
Colin, you can ask that question about all of the, why do people care about a movie about a lady in space?
It's a fictional movie. I mean, we love this stuff, but like, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. Like that whole like, people are just like, oh, in Winter Soldier, he says he trusted somebody, and I mean, I guess like, yeah, he trusted the cat. I guess like like I didn't care that the cat scratched his eye and that was it. Like. That I didn't even need to know how his eye got hurt. I didn't care. Like,
yeah, you could have started this movie with an eye patch and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, I literally wouldn't have cared one bit. Like they just threw it in there for some fan service, which I mean, good on Marvel, they wanted to do it, and really, I mean, I kind of expected it. How could you not? That they were gonna try to make it some kind of like funnier gag, and like everyone knew it was gonna be Goose who did it. I don't think anyone else was speculating anything else was gonna happen, but I mean, it's who cares? It's like if you're mad about this, like. God, just do something more productive with your life, please. Like, put effort into like a charity or something. This is not something we need to be upset about.
I mean, there are theories and theses being written right now just about that one scene and how mad people are about it.
The video
we're
essays
not gonna stop it.
that are going to be on YouTube are going to be
how Captain
phenomenal.
Marvel ruined the Winter Soldier.
I can see that headline now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on the board. It's like, oh, it ruins the character in that moment in the Winter Soldier because Nick Fury is the type of guy to tell you exactly what you need to hear in the moment. So if Captain America needs to hear to not trust anybody, then that's what he's going to tell him.
Well, Nick Fury's a notorious liar, and he lied later in the movie. He lied to S.H.I.E.L.D., which Coulson revealed in his office at the end of the movie, that he had already lied about it.
Yeah. And that being said, when it happened, I knew it was going to happen, but I wasn't, completely on board for it. I thought it would have been really cool if earlier in the movie, his first confrontation with Talos, or even when, what's his name? When he gets his eye scratched from Agent Coulson, but it was the Skrull version.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a good moment for him to get his eye damaged, but when it did happen and it wasn't a Skrull, I was just it's whatever. I would have liked to see it differently, but I'm not gonna make any tweets about it, ranting about it.
I honestly thought I thought that was a gag. I didn't think that's how he was gonna use it or lose it. I thought when they did that, I was like, well, that's just gonna be a cool gag. Oh, you thought, which would have worked for me too, but they went for it, so I don't care.
I mean, I think it's harmless. I think it's harmless. I think people are, I think they're not understanding the truth of the character when they think they're always complaining about Marvel playing things up for gags and too many jokes and it's too funny, you don't take things seriously. So they're just using this as an excuse to further their agenda with that.
Yeah, I saw something. It's Marvel always gives up rich character moments for just funny gags and reference that scene and when Aunt May finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and how just those are made for laughs. It's those are made for laughs, but there's countless other scenes in the MCU.
Right, you're missing the other moments.
Yeah, it's I can pinpoint any number of scenes that are against the MCU, but there's way better scenes in the MCU. Just look at all of Infinity War or Civil War for just great emotionally rich scenes that have great character moments because there's no shortage of them in the MCU.
But nothing can be lighthearted. It all has to be dark and sad and brooding the entire time.
Mm-hmm. You know what my worst part about this movie was at the end when she flies into space, her leather jacket would have burned up.
Yeah, I think that everyone was thinking that.
That's an Air Force issue jacket, man. Those things don't burn up like that.
My friend looked at me, he goes, she's on fire, kind of wouldn't leaving the atmosphere that fast burn up that jacket? And I was like, I don't know, man.
It's cool, man. It's the 90s. You gotta have the leather jacket.
I mean, I wasn't mad about it, but it was just kind of funny.
I gotta mention my theory. So how they're talking to Talos and his family about how they're gonna have to find a new place to live in and maybe even re-identify and start over. My first thought was what's another family in the MCU with a dad, a mom, and a daughter? Who else there is? John C. Reilly and his family in Guardians of the Galaxy.
When he brought that up, I was like, oh, I'm kind of on board with that. But having thought about it, they're most likely probably.
Oh, they're dead.
They're probably
at least
dead.
John C. Reilly's dead.
They're
John
probably
C. Reilly is
dead
definitely
now.
dead.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They're probably
Also, it wouldn't really add up with. It wouldn't add up with the timelines because his daughter.
No, she would be a lot older. The daughter. Would be a
Yeah,
lot
but
older,
I like the thought of him being ending up being John C. Reilly.
Oh, that would be so funny if that's what they did.
Him being a Skrull the whole time.
Oh God, I wouldn't want to. I don't want to think pieces about that though. Just another cheap moment. You take these refugees and you just make them a joke.
You just make them John C. Reilly.
You just make it so funny. All right, so
hey, you got it.
I mean, I was just gonna say any other thoughts in general about the movie before we go into the post credits.
I loved the score. I thought the score was great for it, which isn't usually a positive thing I say about Marvel movies, but the score I really liked it.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you.
I'm gonna disagree with you a little, just because comparing it to the last two, which was not Ant-Man but Infinity War and Black Panther.
Infinity War and Black Panther.
Ant-Man had a really good one too. It's got that heist feeling to it, and I like how they used the same one as the first one. That's probably one of the first times I've seen that.
But yeah, I just there's so many better ones. Winter Soldier is still one of my favorites, and I'm not sure I can put it I don't think
it's not above Infinity War. It's not
above
Black Panther. It's not above Volume 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. But it was a good score, which is another thing people usually attack when it comes to Marvel movies, and I think this one is defendable at least.
I wouldn't say it's a bad score. It's just not very memorable. There wasn't one big strong motif for Captain Marvel that I think will be able to be carried over into all the subsequent movies. Other thoughts I have, I thought she might have become like too overpowered, like too soon in her debut. It's not like a huge problem, but like if you look at Thor, he obviously started out like kind of on the same level as Iron Man, but everyone saw him in Infinity War, and he's just like at that insane level. Same with Doctor Strange. Like in between Doctor Strange and Infinity War, he's had probably 2 or 3 years of training, and that's you can see the level he's gotten to, and he's gonna continually getting better. And I think Captain Marvel was just kind of like she's got this level of power, and then she just unlocks her abilities, and now she has 100 times more power. And for me, it just I think it kind of takes away from some future stories that you can tell with her facing adversity if she can literally just blow through like ships in an instant. But so what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, it's I think a big reason they kind of made her a bit more overpowered, if you want to say, is because she will have a significant role in Endgame, and she's going to be a big part in defeating Thanos. So you kind of need someone a bit more powerful than. I mean, look, they just got Thor at this point. Thor's there. I mean, he's Captain America
that is true.
versus Thanos toe to toe.
I forgot that they're also out of. They don't have Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch with them at this moment.
Everyone else that's OP is gone. I mean, you can consider the normal Avengers OP, but they're not like super OP compared to Thor.
And
so I mean,
I do like the idea how like they need her, because like if all right, well, I guess we can get in the end credits thing now. How like literally like their last hope is whatever this thing they found that was around Nick Fury's dead ashes is just this galactic pager, and like literally their last hope is hinging on whatever he was connecting
yeah, they don't
with.
even
For all they know, he was
they're
just paging
like,
for a pizza.
Yeah, they don't even know. They're just like, they're like, what is it? We just need this. Keep it running. Like we don't even know what this is. Like, but it's gonna help. We just keep it going.
Like,
keep it going. And
that's the faith they have in Nick Fury. That like if he knew what was going on, and he knew he had to contact Captain Marvel, and like they're just trusting him enough that what he was connecting is gonna help them.
And I think that moment specifically speaks to just the way this universe is, because Black Widow was the one standing there at the forefront, like keep this thing on, whatever this is, like keep this going. Like Fury knew what this was, just keep it, because she knows better than any of them that Nick Fury always has a plan in the back. So whatever this thing is going to be some saving grace for them. I don't think she should expected a blonde woman to show up behind her and looking rugged the way she is, but it just speaks to the way this universe. I mean, that scene was like what a scene that was. Literally them just standing around a thing, but it still was like so monumental.
Captain America's beard is so good. Also, something of note is this is obviously shortly after Infinity War, because he had his beard, and Black Widow had her blonde hair. So this is.
Oh yeah, this is definitely right after.
This has to be like 10 to 15 minutes into the movie. Like this is like immediately after. It seems like they're still like, oh, what has happened?
And who expected that? Who expected Captain Marvel to be there that quick? And so now that kind of helps out with like that scene where they're all looking up into the sky and it looks like someone's edited out. It's probably Captain Marvel.
It's definitely her. The one in the scene in the when they're walking through the garage, she's definitely in that one. She's 100% the one they cut out.
Yeah, which is kind of nice to know, like for sure. Like that's. But I just mean like, God, and she looked like. I mean, she has to know something was going on, because she looks
grizzled. She looks grizzled. And
because the thing is, it's all over the universe, so.
Yeah, exactly.
She knows exactly what happened if she was around literally anybody at that moment, and maybe that's why it took her so long to get there, is because she was dealing with other shit across the entire galaxy, and like she doesn't have time to deal with Nick Fury's one message, but she eventually obviously ends up getting there in a new suit too.
And we have to realize like this is 25 years later. Like this is 25 years since the events of Captain Marvel is when she shows up back on Earth. So it's like, what has happened in those 25 years? What does she know? Those kind of things. Like, has she ever been back since then? We don't really know. So it's hard to tell.
It's something wild. I'm just like I said, that was the best part of the movie. Completely.
I mean, it changes the dynamic of Avengers, is what it did. It changes like what we're expecting to see when we go in. Because I didn't expect her to show up till much later, but if she's there at the beginning, it's a whole different ball game.
Wasn't there some more theories have gone up because there was some new footage released from the one of the new Disney shareholder meetings.
Oh yeah, I didn't read that. Did you?
Jackson, do you know anything about that?
I did read it. It was kind of an expansion of that same scene. At least it was probably a different scene, but it was a lot of them standing around talking to each other, and it did explain some things. Captain Marvel kind of explained where she'd been. Her and Thor have a moment, and then her and the rest of the team, go off to do a mission. Is what they do.
Is that what it says, or are you just like paraphrasing to like spare us some spoilers?
Yeah, no, I'm paraphrasing because I don't want to say anything if anyone hasn't read it, but it's. I mean, it sounded really good. It sounded quality. It was general. There was some dialogue, but it wasn't quoted. It was kind of paraphrased. So that was mainly it. It was only like maybe a minute or two of footage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, now I'm gonna have to go read it anyways because I want to, because I have no
There's
control.
nothing spoilery, but just to spare people in case they don't want to know about it.
Yeah, which is good, but like I said, this movie came out at the wrong time. Same with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Exactly. Yep. You want the main course, and like I really enjoyed this movie. I liked it probably a lot more than Ant-Man and the Wasp, but like you want the main thing. Like you know.
Yeah.
I hate the wait. I hate the wait.
This is a little appetizer. I want my burger right now. Like this is my mozzarella sticks or something.
I really wish
I want my burger.
This was more like Guardians of the Galaxy, how they had 2 full movies before they joined Infinity War, and they were a big part of Infinity War, so like we were really emotionally invested in those characters and those interactions. Whereas here, Captain Marvel is supposed to be like the big savior, and she's supposed to go toe to toe with Thanos. And I just feel like only one movie in, and like having no other interaction with any of the other characters, I just feel like I would rather see these characters we've developed over the last 10 years be more at the forefront than her. And like I love Captain Marvel in this movie. I just feel like I want to see those more developed characters get the forefront. And I kind of hope, like, obviously she's going to be a big part, but I hope she doesn't become too integral to the plot at the same time we're saying goodbye to these old characters.
And I mean,
fair, you're not missing that wrong.
Yeah, but to be fair, we don't know. Because we thought we knew what would happen in this movie, and they completely subverted our expectations. So going into this, maybe she's just in the beginning. Maybe something happens. I don't know. I don't think she's going to take away any moments, but I'm hoping that she can like solidify herself as a member of the team moving forward. If she ends up staying on Earth past Endgame.
Look, it's the same thing. Like, if let's just say like if the final blow is delivered by Captain Marvel, yeah, that's cool. Or same with like Nebula, you're gonna be like, oh, that's cool.
Well,
but you want it. I mean, it makes sense with Nebula, but I think honestly, aren't you going to be more interested if it's Thor or Cap or
Captain
Iron
America
Man?
or Thor. I need one of those three to.
If it's one of those three delivering that last blow that beats Thanos, like that's going to make you feel so much like better. Unless you are a big Captain Marvel stan, But like for me personally, that's going to make me feel so much better than if someone else is going to do it.
And I'm with you, but I'm worried. I'm just worried because going into a movie with fan expectations or like theories and like you just set them in your head, much like The Last Jedi, and you go in, they're not what you expected. Sometimes you can let yourself down a little bit, which I'm trying not to do. Like I would love it if only the 6 Avengers would go in and fight this guy and end up beating him somehow. But I just you have to let it open up to what the storytellers are going to do.
And I'm cool with like Rocket and Nebula and Captain Marvel, being there. But like just like it is. It's at the end of the day. It's it's what you want is gonna be Captain America or somebody doing it, and it's gonna be hard for me to let that go if like going into like the movie like I can't expect anything except for expect Captain America's death because he's gonna die.
Although I will say about the Russos is they have a very good track record of
loving Cap.
Loving Cap, but they have a very good track record of.
Don't do me wrong, please.
How do I phrase this? Of fulfilling the new characters that they put in their movies like to their fullest. Like just look at Thor was already great in Ragnarok, but like they brought him to the next level in Infinity War. Like you can say the same
with
thing
Doctor
about
Strange.
Doctor Strange and Star-Lord and even somewhat Iron Man. I've seen some people say how like he was kind of regressed by the time Age of Ultron came around, but they really brought him to the forefront in Civil War and Infinity War. So like I could definitely see them doing a similar thing with Captain Marvel, where like she's not really where I don't like love her right now. Like she's great, but I could see them really making her the big fan favorite character that everyone wants to see out of her.
I think this could be like that defining directing. I mean, duo, I guess, for her, because like the directing duo in this one wasn't that like wasn't amazing.
The directing wasn't a highlight. It wasn't something that stood out.
Yeah,
same with the
writing
of the movie, and the writing team behind Endgame, which is done. They've done Infinity War. They did
Winter Soldier, Civil War.
They've done. I think they did every. Yeah, I think they did every.
Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely.
And they're amazing. And I think the directors and that writing team are gonna. They'll, like you said, they're gonna lift her up.
I mean, listen, they handled 20-some heroes in Infinity War without a problem. Everyone had their moment. Everyone had their thing. Now they only have to deal with, like, what, 8 to 10? Something like that?
They have to do,
it's
like,
not even close.
8. And you'd think that's not going to be, like, amazing? Like,
no, they'll be fine.
They had so much more to do in this in Infinity War than they have to do in Endgame. And so, like, what they're going to be able to do with these guys is just going to be fantastic.
I will say about Captain Marvel, one thing I kind of noticed is there's a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibes in the beginning, especially in the first act. But it was really apparent what that will look like without someone like James Gunn at the forefront. Like
it was bland.
There was some very clunky dialogue, whereas like in Guardians of the Galaxy, there's like barely any like exposition.
No, it's very witty. It's always
and it's
witty.
like, but like the you know so much about all these characters and like with such little exposition about the world, and whereas like first act of Captain Marvel just felt like there were like there's literally a scene where Jude Law Yonrog like he's explaining something to Captain Marvel and he says, "You know this," and that's just kind of like, I mean, obviously you have to get that information out somehow, but it's like that's not a realistic way of getting information across to the audience, and that kind of does have me a little fearful for Volume 3. But knowing that James Gunn did write that script, it's should turn out pretty well.
Yeah, the writing wasn't a highlight of it either. Just same as the directing. It wasn't bad per se. It could have been
not
better.
A standout.
Yeah. It definitely could have been better. But I mean, any other thoughts before we wrap this up? I mean, we can talk about the second credit scene. It was another gag. We didn't really bring anything. It was just Goose vomiting up the Tesseract.
One thing I just think we didn't really mention. I thought the visual effects were actually like really really good. There's only like one shot, I think, and it was the one where she was like falling to earth that like kind of felt like she was like rubbing.
That was the only bad scene.
But literally any other than that, like I think every other like VFX shot in the movie was like really well done, especially considering it has probably lower budget comparatively to Infinity War and those bigger movies.
All right, well, I think that'll just about do it. What are we almost at 45 minutes? I think we got it.
Yeah. Great discussion.
Yep. So thank you for listening. This was our first spoiler review of many. Hopefully, we'll definitely be back. Avengers. We'll see about Us and things like that. Just big blockbuster Shazam, big blockbusters like that. So we'll definitely do some of those. You just want to wrap it up, guys? Let them know where the people to find you.
Yep. Like we said earlier, you can follow our new site on Twitter at Full Circle Cine. I'm the news and media editor for the site. You can follow me on Twitter at CalebSod20, and I'll pass it over to Colin.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Colin Stetzner, and I'll let Jackson wrap us up.
Yeah, I mean, so check out the website fullcirclecinema.com. That's where all of our writing's going to be. Check out this page. Hopefully, we'll have our introduction podcast up by now, and you can guys go listen to that just to understand more of what this network is going to be like, what the website's going to be like, and then you can follow me at Twitter at Jackson867. And thank you guys for listening.
Bye.